Now back to South Africa. It is going to be the venue for the upcoming International Women's Forum, the IWF Global Cornerstone Conference. The focus is all around women's leadership in times of shifting geopolitical landscape and artificial intelligence. This will be the theme that's under the spotlight. This conference will be taking place from the 5th to the 7th of November in Cape Town, South Africa. It is a conference that's set to take place under the theme Ubuntu, I am because we are. And it will highlight collaboration, shared humanity, as well as resilience. These are the essential principles for addressing today's complex global challenges. To break this down further for us, we're joined by Irene Charnley, Cornerstone Conference Co-Chair. A very good afternoon to you, Irene. Good to have you with us on Africa in Business. Welcome.
Yes, good afternoon to you, Thami, and I'm very happy to have this interview with you and to share the exciting times of what's going to happen in Cape Town.
No, certainly. I mean, I'm quite intrigued by your theme, which is Ubuntu, I am because we are. How do you see the African philosophy of Ubuntu being applied to women's leadership and global decision making? And maybe for some of our listeners who may not be familiar with what Ubuntu is, perhaps let's start with a young definition.
Yes. So, as it says, we are, no, we say Ubuntu, I am, because you are. And any South African, wherever you live, wherever you're from, South Africa or the rest of Africa, we know that we are only who we are because of the support of our family, of our community, of the area that we come from. We are built by our community and we are never alone. We never achieve on our own without the support of the people around us. And that is why our conference is so significant, that the International Women's Forum Conference is actually has that theme, which embodies about who we are. Because at the conference, I mean, the International Women's Forum, as you know, it's a global organization, stretches across 36 countries in the world, over 8,500 members. And these are all preeminent women. Some were former presidents, others are CEOs of companies, directors, academia, scientists, Nobel Prize winners. So this organization are there. These are women who get together, who support one another, but they give back. They uplift the people around you. Then they uplift the next generation of women leaders. So the conference that's taking place in Cape Town from the 5th to the 7th of November, which is a few days away, at the CTICC, is bringing, we're going to see women from about 30 countries converging. And that is why we believe just getting these women to experience Ubuntu, about what we are, who we are. But within that context, this conference then is taking place 2 weeks ahead of the G20 meeting. So it's very significant where women then engages with one another, engages on topics very relevant, very, very relevant around women issues. And leading up to the G20.
Right.
You know that.
Yeah, I'd like to focus on this, talking about the topics. One cannot deny the impact of artificial intelligence, AI, on our global environment, and also the shifting geopolitics. How are you, through this conference, going to be looking at that, the impact of AI as well as a shifting geopolitics in a woman leadership context, though? And how are you seeing women's voices shaping the development of AI? How are you seeing women's voices, women's agenda influencing the tech agenda?
Yes, so let's just look at the geopolitics. I mean, you take South Africa, a continent. Firstly, the change in the whole trade. Trade is a big issue. It's a backbone for many of us and our economies. And there's been changes, shifts that's impacting South Africa and the rest of Africa. How does that? So we're having women from across the world. We are engaging on the topics of trade, how it impacts. We have people like the General Secretary of UNCTAD, Rebecca Greenspan. She's going to be there. She's talking with Dr. Monica Juma from Kenya, the special advisor and ambassador, Dr. Juma. They'll be talking about how this whole environment, what's happening now and what we experience, how is that shaping world trade in inter-country, intercontinent, how is that trading within the context of what we've just seen, increase in tariffs, etc. And then we're having other discussions where we are talking about food security. What happens with food security to our continent? We have got the land, we've got everything, but how does that impact the world to ensure that we alleviate poverty, and especially poverty amongst women? And I mean, so you're having the best of the minds coming together talking about those issues. And then, of course, how artificial intelligence, and in fact, International Women's Forum have been having this discussion for the past 5 years at every single conference. And this is now the build up to see how can these ideas be fed into the G20 with the voice of women. I mean, we're even having on our panel, we're having Trudy. These are all Winnie Binyanara is from Uganda as well, and she's on our president's the G20 that looks at food security. And so you're having people talking about that. How does it impact? What is the latest development in the world, and what are women saying about this, so that the voices of women are heard at the G20? Yeah. And remember, all this happens. We can't do this on our own. We're doing it with partners who believe in the upliftment of women, ensuring that they have a space. Our partners include groups like Standard Bank, who's also headed the banking sector, the personal banking, headed by a woman like Funeka Munjani. So it's women supporting women to ensure that the voices of women are heard.
One of the things
not
that
just
you
in South Africa,
right.
not in Africa, but globally.
One of the things that you mentioned earlier on when you were describing the role of the IWF and what you do as far as being intergenerational, how is it that you are ensuring as the IWF that the voices of younger women are also heard and taken into consideration, and the voices from women from underrepresented countries, underrepresented regions, and the non-traditional sectors, that their voices are also included in such forums?
Yes, so you know that International Women's Forum, even locally in South African Forum, where we're involved in, we work very closely with organizations, South African Women in Dialogue, and the Women's Development Bank, whose focus are rural women. So they are part and parcel of this conference. But the most exciting part of this intergenerational development is the fact that we're actually having a panel. We're going to have a panel that talks about a program which we have developed as International Women's Forum, South Africa, where we've developed 1,000 women in finance, both in public and private sector. These women were individually mentored by us. It was an education program which we developed in partnership with Facet, the Finance and Accounting SETA. 1,000 women graduated, so you can imagine how powerful that is. These women were individually mentored by local IWFSA members as well as IWF global members. Can you imagine? Individual mentorship. So we're having a panel to share what the experience of these women have been through this course and how it has given them confidence to actually stand up, to be themselves, to be confident and do something in our society. And I believe most of that 1,000 women will be they will be next professors, ministers, deputy ministers, Reserve Bank governors. These are the people who are going to bring about positive change. So their voices will be heard through the panel as well, because we're going to share what we've done in South Africa with the other global forums to say, this is what we've done. Here's a woman. And I mean, one of the women that have been developed through that program is none other than our deputy governor, Dr. Mampo. You know Dr. Mampo. She's one of the people who've been developed through that program, and she's amazing. But
Absolutely
that's what we're
amazing.
doing, developing the next generation of women. That's our role
And
in
it's quite
society.
clear. It's quite clear, actually, Irene, that Ubuntu is not just a theme for this conference, but it's actually something that
Yes.
you, as the IWF, are exhibiting through your various programs and have been exhibiting. We wish you all the best for the 5th to the 7th of November. Certainly sounds like a worthwhile
Thank you.
gathering of women ahead of the G20. Thank you, Irene.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a great run. There's Irene Charnley. She's the Cornerstone Conference Co-Chair, focusing on the upcoming International Women Forum's Global Cornerstone Conference taking place from the 5th to the 7th of November.